Alright then, 40 episodes down and 3 hours and 20 minutes of audio read from approximately 44,000 words of script. Whether you've been subscribed since 2018 or have just arrived, thank you for listening to this strange weekly 301 second long podcast. And a special thanks to permanently moved paid supporters and zine subscribers for helping keep the lights on. If you'd like to give this show a little Christmas bonus, please rate and review the show on iTunes or Spotify, because, as you've heard a million podcasters say before, it really helps out with the algorithm. The last show of the year is usually a recap, but since episode 250 was only 2 weeks ago, I'll direct you there. I will, however, keep with tradition and tell you about the 12 shows that didn't get made this year. They are as follows. Just as Dead. A show about how it doesn't matter who you were when you were alive. After you die, you're just as dead as everyone else. Unless, of course, you're very special. Once Law with Meaning. I'm definitely going to use this title sometime in the future, as it's a cracker. This episode was a follow-up episode to 2313, Laura's Lens, about the importance of narrative in modern organisational management. Stationery. Did you know that we call items like pens and pencils stationery because they were the first kinds of consumables sold where the seller didn't go from town to town? I didn't either, but I couldn't find a hook to stretch the invention of the stationery shop out to 1,000 words. When I was young. A tempting prompt to begin a piece of writing with, but in my opinion, it's lazy and playing on easy mode. A phrase almost as bad for your creativity and mental health as using nostalgia as a hook. I never, ever want to start a piece of writing with those 4 words. And if you're listening and stick around long enough and I end up committing this sin, feel free to call me out about it. Facing the future. This was going to be about solarpunk and our culture's relationship to progress. What does it mean to walk into the future with eyes open, being optimistic in the face of things getting so much worse? Not news. This is actually a completely finished episode, but I vowed at the end of 2018 that I wouldn't put out negative work. Anyways, this was a tour of the major newspapers' homepages and how most of what's on them isn't news, but a form of media better classed as infotainment. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. Dialogue derangement. This was about the general ontological confusion that I see about AI and how I think most of the press are at the wrong end of the stick. Funko Drops. A rant about the company that makes Funko Pops destroying $30 to $36 million worth of its own collectibles as demand for its gamer bait has dropped off a cliff in 2023. That's enough of that. This episode was going to be about the long-term impact of the Declaration of Cyberspace, the UK's Online Safety Bill, the USA's Restrict Act, and Canada's C11 bill. I don't remember why I didn't record this episode. The script is completely finished. I wish to wind up a world. A fun sequence of words to say aloud. It's just a title. I'm glad that I got to record myself saying it. Reaction videos. Another show script that's basically finished. It opens with the following lines. It's very late. I'm home alone, indulging in a vice. A bad habit I picked up during the COVID-19 lockdowns. The living room floor lamp tripped its timer hours ago. Sitting in the dark, I find myself 3, maybe 4 hours in to a certain kind of YouTube binge. And last but not least, in defense of neckbeards. This was intended as a heartfelt episode about the type of guys I knew growing up in the early 2000s that became a milady hat tipper. I was essentially arguing that the early social web's ridicule towards this demographic produced something far darker as a result of its spite, but I abandoned it as I couldn't bring myself to write about incels and the manosphere. So that is, as they say, what you could have won. Enough content for a whole other extra season. At least I know that had I not adopted the far more manageable schedule of 4 blocks of 10 episodes this year, I could have made a weekly show for the full 52 weeks. Speaking of which, a quick reminder, there'll only be 3 blocks of 10 episodes next year as I'm in Thailand all of January. Start Select Reset Zine will still be going out on its regular schedule, however. My dream is to more than double the amount of paid supporters I have next year, and if that happens, I'll go from 4 issues a year to 6. Sign up today at thejmo.net/support if you want to get issue 8 delivered before Christmas. Also, you can sign up on Substack to receive updates about my new interview show at experience.computer. There'll be some bonus long-form audio coming out here on the Permanently Moved feed before things kick off in season 11 next year proper too. I hope you all have a great Christmas and New Year. Thanks again for listening in 2023, and I'll speak to you again in 2024.